Hey Cru, this is Ben Hutton here again, volunteer with Cru, and today we're going to talk about huge amounts of eating together. Now that's a phrase that we started using back when I was a student more than 10 years ago. I don't know exactly where it came from, but a friend of ours named Paul, he mentioned that, I think during an announcement at Real Life, and it stuck. And ever since then, we've talked about huge amounts of eating together. Why? Well, it's biblical. If you think about it, in the beginning, God created the heavens, the earth, and a whole lot of food. And Adam and Eve, they started eating. Okay, that might be trivial, but guess what? Then they ate the thing they shouldn't have eaten, and all sorts of terrible things happened. The world was cursed, man was fallen, man was exiled from the garden. The history of redemption then follows a sequence of meals. You have the Passover meal, where God has his people slaughter a lamb, eat that lamb, put the lamb's blood over the doorpost, and that rescues or protects his people from the angel of death that is coming to rescue them from Egypt. In the wilderness, Israel is eating manna. Why? Because God has provided it. God has provided the meal that Israel needs to eat. When David brings back the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem, it's a festive occasion, and he provides a meal. He provides sacrificed animals and all sorts of other things for the entire people of God in Jerusalem. When Israel's exiled from the Promised Land, one of their main problems is lack of food. They are deprived. They are starving. They need meals. They need to be eating together, and they can't be eating together because they have no food. Fast forward to the time of Jesus, and we read in Luke that the Son of Man came doing three different things. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. The Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. So those are the why Jesus came. But then how did he come? The Son of Man came eating and drinking. In the Gospel of Luke, we see Jesus often eating with people. We see him going to meals. We see him coming from meals. Meals are foundational. You could say that meals are the very ministry methodology of Jesus when he was here on earth. Jesus' life comes to the end. How? With a meal. He eats his Last Supper together with the disciples. That Last Supper is commemorating the other important meal, the Passover. And in that Last Supper, Jesus tells us what's really going on, that he is about to be poured out. His blood is going to be spilt. His body is going to be torn to provide redemption for those who trust in Jesus, for those who are in Jesus. So yet again, another meal is prefiguring or pointing to the rescue of God's people. And today as a church, we eat together, we take communion, we eat the Lord's Supper together. But more than that, as the people of God, we eat together. Food is a foundational reality. Food is a foundational element of community. When you invite somebody to sit across the table from you, there is a radical equalizing that's happening, where you are sharing life, sharing time, sharing provision, sharing stories, and in that space of hospitality, or gospitality, as we like to say, that's where the magic happens. That's where the conversations, the gospel words, the gospel message get to be shared. This last weekend, some of my friends from Cru and I, some of my neighbors and I, we hosted a picnic for a bunch of the people in our neighborhood. We invited about 50 people over, and it was just great to see these picnic tables scattered throughout the backyard. People from all different walks of life sitting together, eating together, sharing together, talking together. But of course, we don't want that to end there. We want it to go beyond just the eating into the gospel, into talking about the things of God, things that really matter. So, Cru, I'd encourage you, this summer, you need to eat. The people you live with need to eat. The people you work with need to eat. So eat. Let's have huge amounts of eating And let's be doing that together. So I encourage you, invite a friend out for lunch next week. Invite your neighbors over for dinner. How can you get some meals with people this summer?